Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode run-of-the-mill, totally normal, nothing special, 520. Wait a second. Nope, it's episode 520. That means by our calculations, that's 10 years of Hump Day Hangouts. And we are going to continue answering your questions, but we've also got a couple things we want to do. We've got some special guests. We've got some giveaways to do. And then a couple announcements, and we will jump into things. So first things first, while Bradley's redirecting things and taking care of the tech in the background, I want to say hi to a couple people, including Chris. But first, we want to start. I'm just going to go clockwise on my screen and say hello to Hernan. So Hernan, how's it going, man?
It's good, man. It's great to be here. It's amazing. I'm excited for today.
Cool. Well, I'm going to introduce or say hi real quick. Marco, how's it going with you?
What's up, man? I'm doing really good. Hope everybody's doing well too.
Awesome. Well, and I know we have new people watching Hump Day Hangout. So if you are not familiar with Hernan and or Marco, they were with us from the very beginning. They were with Semantic Mastery for a long time on Hump Day Hangouts, creating, training, all sorts of stuff, and asked them to come back for episode 520. And they graciously accepted and are here to say hello, spend some time here today while we kind of jump into it and look back over 10 years, which is kind of crazy. So we'll have some more with them in a second. Just want to take a minute. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Glad to be here and happy to be part of this anniversary episode.
Nice. And Bradley, last but not least, how you doing, man? Uh-oh.
You froze.
Oh, no.
Classic.
Well, we'll give it a second and see if Bradley shows back up. This is great. He's had flawless internet connection while he's been out in the mountains for like a year and a half, and this would be the episode where things go sideways. So, well, anyways, I want to talk to Hernan and Marco real quick. Again, I'll just kind of go clockwise, and this wasn't scripted. I've got nothing set up here, so I don't know, Hernan, if you've got any good things you want to say. I don't memories or any stupid stuff like that, but also then kind of I want to know what you are up to. And I know people on Hump Day Hangouts at least maybe haven't heard from you in a while, so I'm just kind of curious too what you've been up to.
Yeah, totally. Well, so first off, thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here. I cannot believe that 10 years have passed. It's insane. And I'm still wearing my flannel, I'm still wearing the t-shirt. This is one of my favorite t-shirts. I think I washed it and I used it, and then I washed it and I used it again. It's one of my favorite, and it's very, very well worn out. So I think that I might ping you guys for a new one. But yeah, dude, it's been crazy 10 years. I remember that the getting to know I was introduced to Bradley through Marco, and getting to know you guys through one of those masterminds that we were part of and whatnot. I always remember that with a lot of affection, because that was kind of my first online quote unquote endeavor, right? So it was a lot of fun. There's Bradley. What's up, man?
Hey man, sorry, I don't know. Zoom just crashed on my computer. I don't know what happened.
Well, good news,
Anyway,
we're still live, so yeah, we're good to go.
right on. We're good.
Yeah. So no, I was saying that, I always remember a lot of things that, when we met for the first time in Miami. I think it was like 2 or maybe 3 years into semantic mastery. And it was great, because it was like, oh well, these people are real, right? And they weren't just like, online online partners, or people from the internet anymore. And this was like 10 years ago, or 7 years ago. It's not like today, it was like many a couple years before the pandemic and all that. Now it's a lot more normal to do business online and people doing online stuff, but back then it wasn't, right? And we were at it for a couple of years already. And then I remember our trip to Panama as well, and we had a lot of fun there. And yeah, dude, that was amazing. And I just wanted to say, kudos to you to keep the hangouts going. I still have to, there's just a handful of people that I know that are successful, that can keep things for as long as you guys kept the hangouts alive. So congratulations. This is crazy. And so that's the one thing. And then the other thing is, me personally, it's been quite the journey over the past 3 years. I dedicated myself to my digital marketing agency, and I grew it to. I decided to focus on that and grow that. and it went like really well. But I also realized that it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be doing, because I grew it all the way up to 35 employees, a lot of clients, a lot of stress and whatnot. And then I was like, well, this is great, but this is not what I wanted to be doing. So I kind of went full circle, and now I just own a smaller digital marketing agency, a lot leaner, a lot more profitable. And I went from, doing what I love to just managing people all day, which wasn't fun at all. So I went through that full cycle, and then now I'm still knee deep into the paid advertising war. Facebook ads, still doing that full time, doing fractional CMO work for some clients, for some amazing entrepreneurs and projects. And overall, life's good. So I'm super happy to be here. Super happy to be here.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is you have more time for video games. So we should be able to connect.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I sold my house. I sold my house. I sold my car. So now I'm with a laptop. So I'll play whatever this thing can run. So let's do that.
Awesome. Marco, well, how about yourself, man? Obviously, both of you big parts of semantic mastery and getting Hump to Hangouts along with everything else going. And I personally haven't caught up with you recently, so I'm curious too what you're up to and anything else you feel like sharing.
Man, I'm still trying to mess with Google. It's what I do. It's what I know how to do best. Spend my time reading PDFs, trial transcripts, Google leaks, because people miss the good stuff. Like they just do they just glance at it, and because they don't really understand it, then they set it aside. Not to say that anybody here doesn't understand it, or some people have a language problem. Some people just learn differently. Some people need to see it, right? Not just words, but actually grasp. But trying to read through a trial transcript when the guy is trying to obfuscate and not say what the lawyer is trying to get out of him, but then trying to decipher, and then going through all of those little things and all of the little nuggets that they let out in the transcript when the guy's getting grilled by the attorney and the judge is in there. So, I mean, to me, that's fun. To what other people is tedious, and no, I can't bear to do this. The what do you call the Google leak, right? Where we had that leak, a couple of leak, whatever. I took that and we set it aside on a GPT, on a chat bot, AI, trained the AI and brought back what it contained, what it was all about, how the algorithms were being run, what was being applied, just a whole bunch of things. To me, again, that's fun. And then we've been doing a lot of things with AI, just a lot of AI. I know that people got really crazy with AI, but the way that we're approaching it is we want people to have, it's the way I've always approached it. We want people to have the market. We don't want people to just have a piece of the market. So right now we're working on software that we call Content Maxima, which is now a misnomer, because it did have a content writing module, but anybody can have a content writing module. What we're focusing on is, it goes back to the origins of semantic mastery, which is the meaning of words, but the meaning of words in the database, not to a human being. Because to a human being, it can mean whatever, but to the database, it's a number. It's been tagged. It's been categorized. That word has a number assigned to it, and if you can create whatever is relevant to that word, as far as the database is concerned, you win. And so if we have something that goes through like 60 something language analysis models, there's way more, but every big company now has their own AI being trained in their data sets and running their data sets. So we just went and gathered them up and see, we can do a whole spreadsheet of 60 something columns to see which words are relevant to each language model, so that we can take the ones that are recurring, and we know which one the most important. So for example, the guy that's working with us, Ed, His idea was to just start with BLT, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Excellent. All right. So everybody knows how to make a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. But people don't think, well, toasted bread, mayonnaise, a knife, all of these other things that go along with a BLT, right? Well, when you think of the market that way, if you take that, if you take this micro application, BLT, to the food level, well, you can break it all down the same way, which is what we do. And I know I don't want to I don't want to keep going because I could talk forever about this because it's really exciting to me to be able to give people just here's some spreadsheets. These are the words that you use. This is how you use them. Go get them. And then to be able to analyze their competitors to see what their competitors are using that you're not, or what you're going to be using that your competitors aren't. So it's more away from we still do that. We still show people how you can rank local, national, international. Doesn't matter. It still doesn't matter. The Google trial proved that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's all there. Go read it. If anybody wants a PDF, I can give it to you guys so that they can go through it and have fun just like I did. But yeah, I mean that's what I've been up to. I'm still doing the same thing. Basically the same way. Why? Because Google hasn't changed.
Is
We
Rob
hide
still
a
with
lot
you?
of shit. Huh?
Are you and Rob still together?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We should have
Rob's
invited
more
Rob
on
on too. Yeah, just
Rob's
see
more
how
on
he's doing.
the coding
Mhm.
side of things now. He's teaching himself a whole bunch of different languages so that he can code the things that come out of my head and Ed's head and put it into the software.
Is he still working a full-time gig or is he
Yes,
full
he is.
time with you guys now?
No, he's still
Okay.
full time.
Okay. Right on. Well, that's interesting to hear what you're doing too, because I think the SEO landscape has changed so drastically over the last 3 years compared to what it was in the previous 10 as far as how we optimize for local. I've been teaching what I call is topic and category optimization, which is entity-based SEO for local, how it relates to local, and how because Google has a large language model now integrated into their algorithm, it has a much deeper understanding of our language than it did previous to that. And so, like what you're talking about with the semantic relationships, that's basically what I'm talking about when I don't use all the AI that you do. I manually go research this stuff in Wikipedia and then just test with it. And I found that, you can optimize for Google business categories, which is entity optimization at the category level, which is basically optimizing for map search, and then optimizing for Wikipedia topics or entities for organic search. And if you understand how the Google business categories were created from Wikipedia entities, then you can start to optimize at both the category and topic level for one page so that it can rank well in both map search and organic search. And it's just been absolutely transformative for my methods of SEO. But when I came to understand this, that it is no longer a keyword-based algorithm. And so if we can optimize properly to kind of trigger the entity and the sentiment and the semantic relationships between the related keywords is what you're basically talking about. It's a much more efficient way to optimize. You need less content, less pages, etc., to be able to achieve ranking performance for a lot of different keywords. And so it's interesting. I would love to check out what you're doing, Marco, with what you're talking about, because that might be, everybody's asked me over the last many months or year or whatever that I've been talking about this. Is there any tools that can help you to determine this? And I said, probably, but I don't know what they are because I just do it manually. So it'll be interesting to see what you got when you and I connect after the call sometime in the next few days, man. I'd love for you to demo that to me.
And just as a little insider thing for people, because I hear them talk keywords. All entities are keywords.
Correct.
But not all keywords are entities.
Most
that's
keywords
the
aren't
difference.
entities.
And that's the difference. But a keyword can be made up of several entities to create an additional entity, or it can have filler words that become part of that keyword, but not necessarily of that entity, although it can. So you can get really mixed up here, but I don't want to mix people up. Just remember, all entities are keywords, but not all keywords are entities. Go to Wikipedia, BERT, and Google. Google has something called rank embed BERT, which goes into when Google is preparing the score to display the top 300 results, it brings in an IR score and an IS score. Then rank brain comes in, then deep rank comes in, and then rank embed BERT comes in, nav boost, glue, and all of these together are what give you your SERP result, where you are going to rank in SERP, along with all of the different algorithms. So it's not just I'm going to write great content and I'm gonna rank for everything. No, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not. That's right. Well, that's awesome, guys. So it's good to see you guys. And I was just thinking, as Hernan was saying, some of the kind of live events that we did together, or either with our members, or just as us as a company when we had our corporate events where we would meet to have our kind of annual meeting and all that. And I also remember Adam's wedding. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun at Adam's wedding. So
I'll go
was
down in
great.
history with that. I look back and I'm like, man, Jenny's a saint. She's like, we had our wedding. Not that you guys were there. That was great. You guys could make it. But then the next week after that, we had a meeting. So we were hanging out in Portland after that. And I look back and I'm like, all right, maybe should have rearranged that slightly. But anyways, she was
That's awesome.
she was good to do that.
But that was fun, guys. And like I said, it's been amazing to kind of look back and think, if you guys remember the first Hump Day Hangout, it was around October 10 years ago. I don't remember the exact date, but it was around October 10 years ago. And so it's been amazing that we've done this for so long, and all of us are still in the business, because a lot of people don't make it that long in our industries. You know what I mean? So it's good to see you guys, man.
I'm going on 21 years, man.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you guys. And like I said, I'll reach out to you guys afterwards now that we've connected briefly, and we'll schedule a call sometime in the next week if possible. I'd love to just chat with you guys for a few and figure out what you're all up to, and, just see if we can help each other some way, somehow. So you guys are welcome to stay. I know we have a bunch of questions to get through, and we are going to do some giveaways too. So we're going to need to save about 5 or 10 minutes at the end, Adam, for us to be able to do some giveaways and things like that. So you guys are welcome to stay if you want and participate. If you want to go, I completely understand. It's entirely up to you. My feelings won't be hurt either way. So I'm going to grab the screen. And Adam, do we have any other announcements or anything we got to?
No, go ahead and switch screens. I'm just going to mention, so we're going to be giving away, Hernan mentioned a shirt. Hernan's getting a shirt because he deserves one, needs one clearly. But also we're going to give away shirts for best question and Bradley's choice of 2 people for his best questions in his recent memory. We've also got some training we're going to give away based on kind of some random criteria. We thought it'd be fun, but we've got a copy of Local PBM Command, the Directory Hybrid Agency 3-day workshop replay training, and Bradley has put in a 10-pack of niche edits from Semantic Links. So we'll be giving some of that away, and yeah, we'll kind of wait till the end and get that done, and then we'll tell you how to collect your prizes.
So what I'm going to do is I'll pick one of the questions, and I'm just going to mention, I'm going to say Huzaifa is going to be my best question asker because he asks so many good questions regularly now. And so I'm going to claim him as the one that I'm going to award the prize for best questions, just because, again, he's asked a lot of really good questions recently. But then the other one I want to do is a comment, the best comment for those that are attending live. So that's in the YouTube comment box. You guys just start commenting away, and at the end of today's webinar or Hump Day Hangout, I'll pick the best comment. It could be funny.
Real quick, I just want to say how to do this is to send an email to support@semanticmastery.com. That's the only way we can close the loop on this and find out who you are, or rather we know who you are, but then we need to get some more information from you. So be sure to contact us afterwards. So Huzaifa, Bradley's already said that you're a winner, so make sure to send an email to support@semanticmastery. Everybody else will do this at the end.
Right on. Well, let's try to roll through these. I know sometimes I'm not very efficient in answering questions, but we've got a bunch to get through and a handful from last week still that I wanted to cover. So I'm going to try to get through these very quickly. And the first one is, and I've not even heard of this, to be honest with you. So the answer is no. But the question was, have you tested with any of the amenity or direction embeds from Google Cloud now being offered in the Google Business Profile dashboard? Thanks. I have not. I've not even looked at that. But remember, most of the clients that I work with on the Google business side of things are tree service contractors, which are mostly service area businesses, don't have amenities, unpublished street addresses for a lot of them, for the ones that we can't get the street address published for. So no, I'm not testing with that. Has Marco, have you heard of that? Google Cloud now being offered in Google Business Profile Dashboard. I don't know how much local you do, but I've not heard of that. You're muted.
I'm not doing much local, man.
Okay.
And no, this is the first thing I've heard of amenity or direction. But I see the word embeds, and you can bet I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that and see some of the sites that do have published street addresses if I can see what he's talking about, because now I'm curious. So I apologize, Blake, don't know the answer to that one. Raymond says, does your program teach the rank and rent model? Yes, it's part of what I call the hybrid agency model. We also include in what I've been teaching, it's including a directory. So you go into a specific industry, use a directory as a marketing and sales tool, as a conversation starter. And then, you can build rank and rent or lead gen assets. Doesn't have to be rank and rent. That's just one monetization model. But building organic only lead gen assets so that you don't need a spammed GVP. And then you use the lead gen assets as a marketing and sales tool when you're pitching your services to companies in that specific area. So yes, we do teach the rank and rent model. It's not specifically just rank and rent. It can be monetized any number of ways. And I like to use the organic lead gen assets as a sales tool that may not be an in or direct monetization, but perhaps an indirect monetization. It can be done either way. What do I mean by that? Well, if you rank some organic assets, then you can rent them out on a flat monthly fee. You can sell leads on a pay per lead basis. You can do revenue share model, or you can use that as an incentive, the leads from your assets as an incentive that you will assign or send to a client if they purchase services from you as a normal traditional retainer-based client. So that would be an indirect monetization method from your lead gen assets, if that makes sense. You're still monetizing them. It's just not being monetized as a separate asset. It's being included in an overall retainer package. And that's why I call it the hybrid agency, because I got tired of messing with Google business profiles that were spammed, that kept getting suspended or would trigger re-verification, and then I couldn't re-verify them. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore in my business. It's not a stable business model anymore. It was for many years. It's not anymore. And so now I do the hybrid model because we use organic assets to then use as sales tools to pitch our services to companies that have GBPs. And then we incentivize them to sign up with us by giving them, we either, again, sell the leads, rent the asset out, or assign the asset to a client if they hire us under traditional retainer-based services to work on their brand. That's clear. So yes, we have multiple ways to monetize lead gen assets. Huzaifa says, how often to publish branded entity assets, Web 2.0? Is it okay to do 2 or 3 per day? It is. You'll run out of them fairly quickly that way. Just so you know, Huzaifa, I think you're in our mastermind now, or at least I saw you're in our community. We do have the brand expander kind of training, which was formerly Syndication Academy. Marco and Hernan probably have no idea, but you guys remember IFTTT SEO Academy or IFTTT SEO, and then we got the cease and desist order from IFTTT saying that they were going to sue us for using their name. So we changed it to Syndication Academy. And then over the years, we kind of really stopped doing the syndication part of it, but still building out branded assets to kind of expand the entity footprint or, build a bigger branded footprint, so to speak. And that still works very well for local. And so we kind of rebranded everything as Brand Expander and kind of removed the syndication parts of that. And now we have a trainer named Zessie. She's the one that prepares the training for that. But she just once every 2 weeks does an update webinar where she just shows a couple of properties that can be optimized, interlinked, how to set them up and optimize them, interlink them with other properties, etc. And all that stuff works really well over time. You can really push a lot of authority by doing that. So, Huzaifa, just so you know, if you're part of the mastermind, you should have Brand Expander already included. If you're not part of the mastermind, then you can either go check out Brand Expander as a separate subscription or join the mastermind and you have it as part of the subscription. Okay. Next question was, and by the way, the answer to that question is yes, you can do that. You might run out of them fairly quickly. Typically what we do is just build out a couple of profiles, a handful, maybe 2 to 4 per month per client. And that's how we do it. Okay. Just do that over time. And sometime around month 5 in the tree service industry, at least, is where we start to see a significant improvement from that. And I think it's just because it continually builds more authority to the local brand, if that's clear. right? And then obviously you have to make sure Google's aware of them. So if you have like an ID page, or you put the URLs to the profiles that you create in the same as attributes in the local business schema, you can also link to them from GBPs. So from Google Business Posts using the Learn More button, that's a direct linked connection from the Google Business profile to validating evidence online that supports the name, address, phone number, and website information for that particular local business. It's one of the quickest ways you can pull data into a knowledge graph for a local brand is to link out to it from the GBP. And then also putting them in the ID page, making sure that the ID page is referenced in the add ID field of the local business schema. Those three things are going to help all of those Web 2.0 assets to get pulled into the knowledge graph much quicker. Okay. It's powerful and it works. Next question, I previously asked about this, and while you passed on, I'm wondering if using the exact same subdomain, matching our brand name across all Web 2 properties could raise any red flags. No, that's what you want to do, right? You want that to be associated. This is, Huzaifa, just to be clear, when you're using a bunch of external assets that are non-branded assets, that can cause a red flag if you're not careful. But when you're building branded assets, I want the branding to be consistent, the subdomain to be consistent if possible. Sometimes it's not going to be, but I want that to be consistent, right? We're not trying to hide the fact that those are all connected properties to the brand. They're brand extensions. And if they're brand extensions, there's no reason to hide it, right? You want Google to know that they're brand extensions because it's validating, supporting evidence, corroborating evidence about that particular branded location, right? So no, we absolutely always try to use the same username, subdomain, etc., for all the properties that we create as part of that branded network. Okay. So hopefully that's clear. What's your price ranges for monthly SEO retainer and white label clients? And do we need to join the mastermind to get SM's white label services? No, you can order. We have semantic SEO, which is our kind of more full service SEO white label services for Google Business Profile Optimization. That's mainly what it's for. But then we have just the link building service, which is semantic links, and you can purchase either one of those. The price range starts at low to medium competition at $2.99 a month for links only, $5.99 a month for the full service SEO white label services. Then the middle of the road package is what we call the high competition package, $4.99 for links, $8.99 for links plus content, Google Business SEO, all that. And then we have the extreme package, which is $7.49 a month for links only, or $12.49 for links plus the full service SEO white label services. So it ranges from $2.99 to $12.49, depending on which level and which service it is that you're using. Okay. And just to be clear, the white label SEO services for Google Business SEO includes the semantic links link building services. So each level has the corresponding link building level associated with that package or that bundle. Does that make sense? Okay, moving on. Paul says, hey man, I hope you're doing well. I see that you mentioned you currently sell one lead to multiple clients. Yes, currently, but it's only a handful. And that is, as you're fully aware, which I'm glad you brought this up. It's a good topic for discussion for a moment. He says this is an industry standard practice, meaning selling a lead multiple times. But what are you going to do in January in the TCPA ruling changes? And just so you guys are aware, what he's talking about is there's a rule that is coming in January that states that if a lead form that collects a lead, or even I'm assuming it also applies to call leads, things like that. But when a lead is collected, if that lead is going to be forwarded or redirected, sent to somebody other than the website that is collecting that lead data, there has to be a disclaimer that clearly describes or announces the fact that it's going to be sent to another corporate entity, company, etc., and it has to list who it's going to be sent to. So yes, I'm fully aware of that. I only have about 5 contractors that still purchase leads from a pool of leads because I had switched everybody to either rank and rent in some cases, but still only have a handful of those, mostly pay per lead and revenue share models. So it's exclusive leads from lead gen assets to the contractor that's buying the leads on the pay. Again, I still have a few locations where there are about 5 contractors that purchase into Lead Simplify. They go in and they buy credits in Lead Simplify, and then they just select which leads they want to purchase from their credit balance based upon the notifications that they get from the system. And there's only a handful of contractors that are still under that model. So I'm not worried about it. When that changes, I'll just tell them, like, that's it. If you guys want to continue working with me, you're either going to have to go on a pay per lead exclusive model, which does raise the lead price, the cost per lead price, or you can rent the assets out, which I might even do because those are some of the projects or areas that I'm not really focusing on right now. So, but yes, if you're going from selling a lead to multiple service providers or lead buyers, I'm pretty sure unless you have some way of displaying the potentials, and I don't know how that would be awfully complicated. I'm sure there will be some solution developed for it, but I don't know what it is. And honestly, I think that's going to be more complicated than it needs to be. For my model is more focused on exclusivity per contractor. That's kind of how I've shifted towards that approach for the last several years. Okay.
Sorry, Bradley, but if
Sure,
I can
please.
interject here, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was involved in a project where we were selling leads to financial advisors for the past couple months, and it's not local necessarily, right? But some financial advisors will buy leads, nationwide, and some financial advisors would have like specific licenses in specific states, right? But one of the things that we did, it was kind of a hybrid model. So what we told people is that these leads are exclusive for the next 60 days, right? So for the next 60 days, these leads belong to you. And that was a big disclaimer that we had on the sales page, and everyone was aware of that. So we were able to resell that lead after 60 days, provided that the advisor wasn't in conversation with that lead, right? And provided that the advisor hasn't closed that lead, which was the vast majority of the leads. So there's something there that you could, of course, you need disclaimers and everyone needs to be on the same page. But of course, the quote unquote resold leads that we sold after 60 days, those leads were cheaper, right? Because now of course, they got nurture. We had sequences happening all the time for them and nurture sequence and all that, but it wasn't like a hot lead that they needed to,
right,
talk to somebody right now. So that was something, sorry, that was something that I wanted to add, because there's a hybrid model there with disclaimers and everything that will allow us to kind of sell a lead twice without necessarily telling people, oh, these are not exclusive leads, right? They were exclusive for 60 days. And after that, we could resell them. So,
okay. Well, that's also a highly regulated industry too. So that must be tough working in that industry. I had one link building client come to me recently with a insurance agent that works for Allstate. So he's on the franchise site and all that. And oh my God, the amount of regulations that we have to adhere to like even when linking to the Allstate, his landing page on the Allstate website. I don't know if you guys know this, but they have specific requirements for the anchor text used. It's nuts. You have to have an opening statement before the anchor text that stays, visit my Allstate website or webpage on Allstate website or whatever, something like that, or whatever it is. There's specific language that has to be in front of the anchor text, and then there's a specific anchor text that you're allowed to use. And after I don't know, jumping through hoops for 2 weeks trying to get some issues resolved with things like branded assets that had Allstate in the subdomain, and then they kicked it back and said, nope, you can't do that. And this, finally, I was just like, dude, go into another industry, because he was a fairly new guy in the local SEO. And I was like, I don't know why you chose this industry with all these regulations. It's so much more complicated than it needs to be. Pick another industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of red tape, a ton of red tape. And so, yeah, I feel you. So I think that was a good advice, just go somewhere else.
yeah. Hey, Marco, this is a good question for you, because I read this earlier before we started the webinar today. And you're much better at the kind of technical side of things than I am. So perhaps you can answer this. And I'm pretty sure this is Greg Pippin, if you remember him from the mastermind. He was with us for a long, long time. But I'm pretty sure that's him asking this question. But he says, hey, Bradley, I've changed the page URLs for all my pages, for all my pages on my website, except the homepage. When I submitted the URLs in Search Console to be inspected and indexed, 4 of the pages have 500 errors. The error message is page fetch error, failed, server error 500, indexing allowed, not available. How do I determine what is the cause for this and how to fix it? The URLs work when manually entered into the browser, and the redirects work. Thanks. So do you have any idea what would be causing that? Because I have no idea.
It's a condition probably in the htaccess file. He's going to have to check that is preventing the server from. So there's a request that's being sent. The server is not fulfilling the request. There's something in htaccess. I don't think it would be robots.txt, but there's something about those specific URLs, because there's only 4 of them, that are preventing the server from fulfilling the request. There's a call, but it isn't coming back. So you have to go into the server actually and see. Maybe you can look at uh, the error log and see what the call is doing. So when you do the call to the page, what does it do? Because you can paste it manually, and it opens and redirects. Maybe I'm not sure if you're using a WordPress plugin or what it is that you're coding on, but if it's WordPress, it could be the plugin. It could be an extra character in the URL. You have to check it really carefully to see which or what is it that's preventing the URL from or the request from being fulfilled. Usually an additional character, a space, something that you did with the URL that you weren't supposed to do.
And Greg did reply in chat that it is him, Greg Pippin. He said, "Yep, it's Greg Pippin." So, and I thought that was him. Yeah, and Greg, if you're using a good host, I can't remember. I feel like you had switched to WPX, and their support is fabulous. So if it is potentially a server error, like Marco said, which I would tend to agree. And what I would do is just because I'm not going to look in the error logs personally because I don't understand that shit. I would just contact support at the WPX and ask them like, hey, look, this is specifically what I'm getting from Google from a redirect. Can you check the server and tell me if it's misconfigured somehow? And they might, if they'll do it, they'll look for you. And if it's on the server end, they'll fix it. If it's on the WordPress side, they might even be able to identify it and tell you that. And then tell you, where to go to fix it within WordPress because their support is really, really good. So
and if you act really dumb, they'll ask you for the logins, go in and do it.
WPX will often do that anyway. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. He says WPX, yes. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would contact them. And Hernan, you remember WPX, right? Because that was Terry Kyle. He's still managing all that shit too.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I need to email Terry. Now
Yeah.
that you mentioned, I'm gonna send him an email. But that's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's great that of course there's some, as you mentioned, there's some people that they just leave the industry or they just go do something else. But there's some really solid players that are still at it, like Terry. I know he was like, fantastic.
Oh, he was
in any.
He was like a legend in the SEO industry back around 2010 timeframe. If you guys remember, Terry Kyle was big name. He did a lot of affiliate stuff, way more than local, but he still has WPX hosting, blue chip backlinks, Cloud Boss. He's still got a bunch of stuff that he's doing, man. I use a lot of his stuff. So even all these years later, man. So awesome. Well, thanks, Marco. Appreciate you chiming in on that. Let's see. Next one is John says, does your signal service lower my ad cost? No, I mean, it technically it could. If you generate more leads organically, then you could reduce your ad costs. But does it just by applying signals to a local campaign, is that going to lower ad costs? No. You have to lower your ad costs, like what your budget is, etc. Optimize the campaign better, get CPCs lower, all that kind of stuff. But no, the signal service does not lower your ad costs. It can help you to generate more leads without the need for ads to be the source of those leads, which would then lower your budget requirements. That's clear. Next, Huzaifa says, would it be okay to add schema to a WordPress page or a post using the custom HTML widget by pasting in pasting in JSON LD code? Yes, you can do that. Marco would absolutely be better to answer this than I would. I know you can add JSON LD into anywhere that you can add HTML code because it doesn't display on the public side of things, but Google can still read it. I prefer, and it's my understanding that it's best to put it in the HTML header of the page. But from what I understand, you can paste it anywhere within the page as long as it's in the HTML code. Is that correct? Marco, what would your opinion on that be?
There you go. That's absolutely correct. Just paste it if you can get it in the header code. That's the best place for JSON LD. That's where Google recommends it. Other than that, just make sure it's not the same schema that you're putting in as your organization on your website. Make sure that it's clear that it's a child, that this additional profile is a child of the parent organization, because you don't want to create ambiguity. Not back then when we started, and not right now. In today's internet, you do that and you make people think there's two organizations good luck cleaning that up. It's going to
Yeah.
take you months for Google to understand that, okay, what you meant to say, okay, this is a parent-child relationship. It's not different organizations with the same name. You can confuse I almost dropped a bad word, and I try not to do that because it messes the YouTube algorithm. It messes with the algo. Don't do that. Custom schema stating exactly what that profile is and relating it to your the main organization.
So that would be connected data items within the schema. Yeah, and that's correct.
Yes.
And it's funny because I do a lot of audits now, Marco, for link building clients and such. And I do a ton of local SEO audits, like 5 to 7 per week. No kidding. And it's amazing how many people are still doing schema so incorrectly, you know, because there's so many apps out there that now do it correctly, connect the data items properly, that I don't understand why people still do. I guess it's because they're using plugins that auto inject schema into pages and they don't connect them properly. So like global insertion of local business schema is absolutely incorrect because that should only go on the page, the location landing page. You know what I mean? But we see that a lot. And so, but by the way, just so you know, Uzziah, this is the plugin I use the pro version of it. But also, if you have the pro version of most SEO plugins, they have code insertion modules now. So most all the pro versions of SEO plugins, you can omit having another plugin by just having a pro version of the SEO plugin. I don't know about Yoast because I think Yoast is terrible. Stop using Yoast. but for most of the other ones that are decent, like Rank Math Pro, or I use SEO Press Pro, but there's a bunch of other ones that I would say are better than Yoast. If you go with the Pro plugin, they usually have code injection modules. So then you can just select which page you want to insert it on and all that stuff. Put it in the header, body, footer, whatever. So I would go with this one if you're going to use Yoast, but I would get the hell out of Yoast if I were you.
I thought the question was on a WordPress page. Okay, I understood off-site. It's on the same website, yeah. But make sure it's custom to that page or post.
David Morgan says Yoast is a good way to make your site toast. That's awesome, David. That's a good comment, buddy. Awesome. Good to see you, David. All right. So the next question would be, can you go through and briefly explain the content mirroring diagram with the GBP included? Okay, sure. Marco and Hernan will remember some of this too. Content mirroring, theme mirroring. Network Empire called it theme mirroring. I kind of changed the name to content mirroring, which is we had 2 versions of that. So let me just show you what we had. We had the old version, which included, excuse me, that's this one, which was for projects that had Google Business profiles. Okay. Then I had the newer version, which is the one without the Google Business profile. Let's see if the graphic is still there. There it is. This is the original version. And then I created a newer version that doesn't require Google Business profiles. And so I'm going to show you both. Let me just open up Flowster again in another browser tab, and then I'll show you what I mean. Because we can compare the two side by side. If I can find it. Sorry, I went to the wrong folder. Right there. Okay, so this is the more current image. So you'll see that if we compare these 2 images, the only difference here is that you put a Google Business post, although now Google Business posts aren't like they used to be, right? We used to have inner page URLs of the Google Business website that we could create, we could use as you could embed those. So you could take a Google Business post URL and create an embed out of that, an iframe it so that you could embed it. And what we would do is just take the same post, the page that we would summarize into a Google Business post, which would be 200 to 225 words, roughly. That's 1,500 characters or less, which works out to be in the range of 200 to 225 words. So we would take the page, summarize it using something like back in the day, Quillbot, before there was all the AI writing assistants and ChatGPT and all that. Quillbot is what we used back in the day to do that, to do a summary of a page. And then we would create the Google Business post, publish the post, get the inner page URL from the GB website, and then create the YouTube video from the post text, because it's the same amount of text. You know, that would create a video roughly a minute long, a minute to a minute, 15 seconds long with text to speech option and all that. And then we would create the G site silo. These were older G sites though. And G sites used to be able to be embedded. They can't be embedded now, which is why now the G site's the outermost layer instead of one of the internal layers, because this is the outermost container. And so if you were going to insert Google Business Profile, I would put it in right here. That makes sense. But the problem is you have Google Business Posts that I don't think can be embedded anymore because they're just in that pop-up from the cloud, on the SERP page. You don't have an inner page URL anymore. So we still use Google Business Posts like crazy for local stuff, but I use it mainly to link out to branded and supporting assets and also various page URLs on the main website so that we force Google to recognize what we want Google to know about the business, if that makes sense. So that's what we use it for mainly now, not for part of this. That's why this kind of updated version here doesn't have the GB posts in there. It was specifically for that reason, because Google did away with that. But if you were going to insert Google Business Profile stuff, it would just go in around this layer in between the money site and the blogger, if that's clear. Okay, so hopefully that made sense, Uzaifa. But again, I would just omit that part of it. What you can do is just at this layer here, right? In this right here, and look, I'll demonstrate this, guys. Let's just go take a look at Tree Service, Newburgh, Kentucky. I don't think I spelled that wrong. I think it's Newburgh with the U, that is. Right there's the G site. Go to that page specifically. So this is what I'm talking about. So you see right here is the Blogger blog. And so you could put the Google Business Profile here, right? Like, so you can embed the Google Business Profile map in the Blogger blog. And so that's going to be the first kind of layer here is that, you have the money site, which is iframed along with the YouTube video, is embedded into the Blogger post that you create. So you mirror the 1-to-1 ratio for the pages that you want to mirror. You create a separate page on Blogger for that. That's where you would embed the Google Business Profile map for that project or that campaign. If that makes sense. So now you've got that embedded in there. And then all you're doing is embedding that page into a cloud page. I've showed you guys we've been using Google Cloud Pages for that, but that's what this is. This is a Google Cloud page on Cloud Store. Or no, actually this one's on S3. And I think in the training, the SOP, we did it on Google Cloud storage. But anyways, that's just another container that contains the Blogger blog post, right? And the YouTube video. And you can put the Google Business Profile map embed in this one too. It looks like I got some broken stuff on here. But you could put the Google Business Profile map embed in here too if you had it. At the time that I created that one, I didn't have a GBP for this project. So that's part of the reason also that I omitted it, because I didn't have one for that project, but it was also because Google Business Posts changed. So good question. Moving on. Greg said I could skip this one. I saw his comment in YouTube chat. Where to get content like images, PDF slides, documents, etc. for the gstack? You just create it. You've got ChatGPT or any other writing assistant. That's all I do for content, guys. I use ZimWriter. So we use ZimWriter to create the content, and then we create all the drive stack stuff. But we don't do those anymore, other than with David Morgan, who's on. He does stack stuff. So, that's typically where I will get them. Marco, are you guys still selling stacks over at the Heavy Hitter Club?
Our store is still open.
The store? Okay.
THHC.store.
I've said this before, but nobody does stacks as well as Marco and Rob do over at the Heavy Hitter Club, because Marco was one of the original co-creators of the drive stack concept. And I've always said that, guys. I've said that they by far do it the best. If you guys could get them delivered a little bit faster, I know why you don't. They're manual, I get it. But that's always was my issue, was it takes so long to get them back. But they are done better than anybody else's stacks. There's no question. So Uzaifa says, I watched a bit of Ted Kubaitis' live stream this week where they discussed Google penalizing sites or specific sections of site that post content outside their usual scope. What I understood was that Google may specifically target sites focused on lead generation, as Google itself engages in lead gen and may not favor others leveraging large sites for similar purposes. Do you think this could impact S3 ID pages or guest blogging, given that S3 and guest blog sites often have content on a wide variety of topics? No, because S3, remember, you're creating an individual container for a website or an HTML page or whatever. So I don't think that's going to have any effect on that whatsoever. As far as like guest blog sites, which are multi-topic sites and all that, I don't like to use them anyways, because I prefer to be publishing content for link purposes, for link building purposes, on relevant sites that are both relevant at the referring page level, but also at the referring domain level as much as possible, meaning the overall topical theme, the primary topical theme or themes of the site are in a relevant topical category to what I'm linking to. Okay, so no, and honestly, I don't think that that's going to affect S3 ID pages or guest blogs or anything at all. At least I don't see that as being a problem. I think maybe what he was talking about, and I could be wrong, I didn't watch it, but would be talking about using like, and again, I could be wrong. My assumption from what I'm interpreting here is, for example, like publishing geo pages on a local business site that really have no tie back to the products and services that the company offers. I could see that as being a penalizing, something that Google could penalize, because we all did it in local SEO because it used to have a significant influence on how the map would rank within, or how the Google Business Profile would rank in map search. You could expand kind of the coverage area and everything by targeting points of interest within specific geographic areas. But I've talked about this on Hump Day Hangouts, where I noticed a couple of years ago now that just publishing points of interest posts on a local business site started to have no effect whatsoever on ranking and maps, or organic search for that matter. And so I stopped doing it and then started pulling geo-relevance data into main product or location pages and supporting location pages. So where there was a tie back to the products and services that the company provides. And that I still use that tactic today, just so you know. That's why you'll see geo-relevance on my sites. I was just looking at one of these sites earlier today. Give me a second, I'll show you. Sorry, Pelly Pro. I just added a bunch of sites to this one today, but I don't know. We'll just look at this one as an example. We just go into one of these cities like El Mirage, for example, you'll see we still add geo-relevance data points to this. We reference neighborhoods within that city, and then we also reference points of interest. But they're just on the page that is optimized for the products and services that this company provides in this particular location, instead of having separate pages that have no tie back to the services, if that's clear. So that's how I interpret that statement, although I could be wrong. And I could see why that could be potentially something that Google would frown upon, right? So, all right, moving on. Should we create an S3 cloud pages for other locations we are targeting within a larger area, the ones without the GPP? Or should, well, ID pages are specifically to validate the local entity information from the GBP, essentially, right? Remember, guys, I've talked about this before. There's overall brand knowledge graph, which is kind of what you can manipulate or help Google to develop with organization schema. And then you have local business schema, which are specific branded locations, right? And so each branded location would have its own dedicated ID page that goes into the add ID field of the local business schema. That references the name, address, phone number, and website information for that specific branded location. Organization schema is overall or general brand brand data, right? And so that's where you would reference top level social media profiles and things like that, as same as attributes non-location specific branded assets. But location specific branded assets should be referenced in the local business scheme. That makes sense. And that's where they would also be referenced in the add ID or the ID page, which then you would reference in the add ID field of the local business scheme. That makes sense, right? Remember, the ID page is a unique resource identifier for the purpose of corroborating or validating local brand information or branded location information. That is precisely what it's for.
Hey, Bradley,
Adam, are you going to cut me off?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to. There's a couple comments we should probably go through on the live comments, and then we need to award some giveaways here.
All right. Well, do you have any
Yeah, let me scroll
sing some
up.
show tunes while I scroll through here.
Yeah, just do. Jim, best question is, how about a complimentary 3-month mastermind membership? Nice try. Let's see. From Nigel. So he was asking if you could go back to your first few streams, of Hump Day Hangout. So going back 10 years, what local SEO advice would you have given an audience in 2014, knowing what you know now? I think that's a good one. The first thing that came to mind for me, I'm not going to actually give the advice, but it'd be more, right? You tend to think when you're talking 10 years, that's a long runway. Yeah. And it's more, looking for the evergreen. How can you grow your business instead of do this, or optimize that? Yeah, because I'd have to think through that question, Nigel. It's a great question. And I might have an answer for you next week.
But like, honestly, I'd have to think through that, because the problem is knowing what I know now, the algorithm is so different. It's almost unrecognizable compared to what it was 10 years ago, right? As far as, remember, all I do is local now. And that's it, 100% local. And the local SEO landscape has changed more dramatically in the last 3 years or so than it did in the previous 10 combined, according to my experience anyway. And so, because the algorithm is so different, everything that I would recommend that I know about it now, 10 years ago wouldn't have worked. Like, for example, it immediately came to mind, brand authority, right? Right now in local, if you build enough brand authority, you can have significant deficiencies in many of the other SEO areas and still rank really, really well. 100% know for a fact that if you push enough brand authority, you can rank a local business project or local business website, GDP, etc., even if a lot of the other SEO elements are done very poorly. And so I would say that is one of the first things to come to mind. But 10 years ago, that likely wouldn't have been the case. We are still very heavy in the keyword optimization and such. And I don't think branding was nearly as important for local SEO back then. Marco, you've been around this industry longer than I have. I know you don't do specifically local, so I don't know. And I don't know that he was asking that specifically, but thinking back to when we started Hump Day Hangouts, what would you say now is different?
Brand.
So you
Forget
agree?
exact match domains. Forget all that stuff that's temporary. Forget. Don't get distracted, because I mean we've been branding since almost the beginning, and we've been recommending it with activity, relevance, trust, and authority. It's still there. Brand plus keyword plus location relationships, if local. That's 2015.
That's this right here. This is what, and that's funny because this is in my SEO audit document. And I always talk about that right there. Like, that is precisely what Marco just said. And Marco and I haven't talked in 2 years. And that's funny because that's precisely exactly what I teach is, brand. So who you are, what you do, where you do it is brand, product or service, location. And those are 3 entity references. We're trying to force Google to make the association between the brand and the products or service it provides and the locations in which it provides them. And it's 100%, in my opinion, right now about branding. But 10 years ago, I don't remember. I know we talked at Semantic Mastery. That's part of the reason we called ourselves Semantic Mastery, because we understood kind of we had an idea at least of where the algorithm was going. And so we always knew that there was going to be these more kind of associations, semantic relationships, and everything that we were going to have to trigger in order to be effective. But at least in my opinion, from 10 years ago, I know 10 years ago, I didn't see how freaking important the branding was going to be and building brand authority was going to be. Now it's plain as day that is absolutely what's working.
I started working on RYS Academy around Thanksgiving of 2014, which is where we develop art and where we develop the if then else, right? If local, then you go brand plus keyword plus location relationships.
Yeah.
Else, no location. So at that point, now you're going national, international if you want, or you can make it geocentric because of the location that you're adding into whatever it is that you're working on. And but I would tell myself, don't get distracted by other stuff. Stay on this path. Stay there. Because I've wasted a lot of time doing this and doing that and chasing this and chasing that, while still going after that, while still showing it's the same thing over and over and over again. But I would have done a better service to the community by just telling them, forget everything else. Brand.
Yeah, no kidding.
Brand.
No kidding. If only we would have known, no kidding. Because I mean that's 100% the magic bullet right now, guys, is brand authority for local. And I don't do, and Marco's claiming, and it must be the case for all projects too. But I just focus on local. And so all I can do is talk about my experience at local. And right now, like I said, if you can build enough brand authority, which is why I mentioned on the call earlier, or the call earlier when Huzaifa asked about how many Web 2.0s can you build, branded Web 2.0s can you build on a daily basis, and blah, blah, blah. I talked about Brand Expander because that helps to build authority to the brand with cheap, free, inexpensive properties. You just do it over time and it builds kind of a lot of authority over time. And that really helps. And that is without a doubt what is helping the most right now is branding. So do that. So we got to answer these questions. There's a couple things I see from Raymond Alvarez. If you can stick around for just a moment, I do want to answer these questions because Raymond not only posted them in the sheet, but he also posted them here. So he's here looking for the answers. And then I'll go ahead and announce the best comment, which was David Morgan. I love that comment. Yoast is a good way to make your site toast. So David, I appreciate that. That was a funny comment. I like humor. So we're gonna give you the other winner. So Huzaifa got one of my giveaways and David got the other. I don't know which is which, but we'll figure that out. Okay. So Raymond has asked a few questions. Like I said, he had some over here. So guys, I'm just going to read through the questions and answer them. He says, and then we can wrap it up. Hi, everyone. I'm starting from scratch with no experience in Go High Level or WordPress, and my main goal is to generate leads for my roofing company. Does the Semantic Mastery course address how to effectively structure Go High Level for lead generation? Yes, that is my preferred site builder now, is High Level. I fucking love it. Every single site that I build now is on High Level. These are all high level sites. And I've done a ton of training in the mastermind. Yes, we have snapshots available. We have pre-configured snapshots that have some of the services that I also sell as part of the directory hybrid agency program or model, which are, LLG sites. That's what I call these. These are called local lead generation sites or LLG sites. They're built in High Level because they're super easy to deploy. There's no updates. There's no hacking. I've never heard of a site being hacked anyways. It's infinitely scalable. With a $97 a month High Level account, which is a starter account, you can have unlimited amount of websites hosted. And the way that we build these sites are through High Level forms. We collect all the data here. I can demonstrate this very quickly just because I want you to see what's available. But what we do is we create these CSV sheets where we collect all the data to build the sites. Let me just give you an example. We were looking at, which one were we looking at before? Maricopa? I think that's the one we were looking at. So here's an example of how we build these sites. Right here, we've got 9 sheets in this CSV or Excel file. Right? This is an Excel file, but there's 9 sheets in here, and each one of these sheets is where we collect all the data, and then all we do is an input form. And now this is an older one. We now have one of our support manager had created a new version of this workbook that has these URL parameters right here. So what we do is once we collect, and a VA does all this, and I have full SOPs on how to do this, so you can train a VA to do this work for you. And then all they do is go into the High Level sub account that was created for this, in this case, Canadian Felling Pro, which is for Canadian County, Oklahoma. And then once these Excel files are done, you open it up in SharePoint or OneDrive, right? And so that it's open in one browser tab. And then all you do is open up the High Level form in another browser tab, and then copy that and append it to the end of the High Level form URL and hit enter. And it automatically will extract this data from the sheet and populate the form. So all you got to do is open the form, open up the sheet, copy that, append it to the URL, hit enter, and then hit submit. And then boom, it automatically builds the site. You do that 9 times for 9 forms. And then the site is built just as you see it right here. It's built with all the internal linking, all the images, all the keywords, everything is done. The only thing that I recommend doing is then going in and creating new content for where there is content. And I even have ZimWriter prompts in there that we use so that it's the same prompt every time. We just rerun it, boom, we got new content. That's how we build these sites. So absolutely, we do have a lot of training in there for that. I prefer High Level sites over WordPress sites any day of the week now. I think that's it. Let's wrap it up, guys. We're 5 minutes over.
I'm going over, let's see what we've got so far. I was writing down with a pen and paper. So if I'm mentioning your name, shoot us an email, support@semanticmastery.com. I've got Ramon. Let me see. You just answered his question. So that's going to be a t-shirt. And then Nigel, same thing for best question. And Bradley's choice of 2-ish people. Oh, that was Huzaifa for good questions over time. So another t-shirt. And then because Ramon was asking about DHA related stuff, we're going to give him access to the 3-day workshop replay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, perfect. So is David going to get the niche edits?
Yeah. Is that David Morgan?
Yep. David, you want a 10-pack of niche edits?
Boom.
Topical Word Geo. You can have them, man. Just reach out to me.
Awesome. All right. So if we mention your name, please send an email to support@semanticmastery. We will get you taken care of. We're going to wrap it up. Marco, thank you so much for being here. Good to see you again, man.
It was fun. Man. Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, Marco, I'll reach out to you via Facebook, probably just to get something set up for us to chat next week sometime, man.
Hit me up. We'll schedule a call.
And awesome, one last one, of course, to we'll call it the 6th member. We appreciate everyone watching for whether it's 1 episode or 10 years worth of episodes. Thanks for checking it out, and come join us next week.
Yeah, Marco, tell Rob we all say hi too, man.
I will.
It would have been cool to have him jump on for a few, but maybe we'll have him on another time.
All right, man.